equinox. What were the dates? You remember? याद नहीं है, भूल गया. Climatology. हमने starting में पढ़ा था. There are 4 solstices. क्या कर रहे हो? अभिषेक, वो कैमरा सेट कर दो. दिस नीचे ब्लैक. ओके. Yes. I hope I am live online. If you can see me, please let me know that you can see me. Yes. Okay. Fine. So today is the 15th session of our optional classes, that is basics of optional. We'll be covering up some basics of human geography. Last class में हमने ये cover कर रहा था that population settlement, how does settlement happens and all. That is, what are the major factors that are determining the population aspects. So those population aspects, we have understood that major aspects are determined by the climate. Right, there are some geographical factors, there are human aspects. We have seen how population settles in a plain area and what are the major factors that determine the settlements in hill areas. Right, so these things we have discussed in the previous classes. Last May, I've asked you a question. Why is the rents in Mumbai high? So I haven't given you an answer. Right, this is what we have been discussing. So if you are watching this, please let me know what is exactly the answer is. Why the rents in Mumbai are so high? Why are the settlements so compacted as compared to any other region? Job opportunities, देखो job opportunities Mumbai में भी है, job opportunities you also have in Delhi also, Kolkata also, everywhere you have. But why the city of Hyderabad having less rentals, the city of Bangalore comparatively has little high rentals, and then you go to Mumbai, they have extreme rentals. Infrastructure, yes, that is the answer which I have told. The major reason is the infrastructure. There's no doubt to that. But how is this infrastructure playing a vital role there? Yes? How infrastructure is an answer for high rental problems in Bombay? Now let's come back to the answer, that question that we have put forward. After that, we'll go for the population geography. That too, we'll learn a theory called demographic transition theory. Right? So, see, for example, if I'm working in Bombay, okay, a person who is working in Bombay, let's consider a person who is working in Hyderabad and a person who is working in Kolkata. Okay, let's call this B, let's call this person C. Now, why do you have high rents here? It is because lack of infrastructure. Now, what do you mean by infrastructure? Proper road connectivity, proper rail connectivity, or proper means of transportation, internal transportation, metro hona chahiye. Now, for example, let's consider a person who is staying in New Delhi, right? Usually, the city center has so much of rental prospects. मतलब rent काफी ज़्यादा high होता है if you want to live in a city center, because that is the business district of that particular city. So when you have that business districts in that particular area, your rents will be very high because that is a commercial area. Now, this is the same case with Hyderabad also. It is also the same case with Delhi, Kolkata also you take. Even to Mumbai, this is very extreme. Why? Because, see, a person's office is in the city center, and if he has to stay next to the office, the rents are very high. But if that person is given an opportunity where they have a connectivity through metro, and this person can stay somewhere little far away, ye maan ke chalo, maybe 20 kilometers away, if that person can stay, what will the person do? The person's connectivity, agar ye maan ke chalo, maximum distance is 30 minutes journey, they would be happy to commute. Even to 45 minutes commutation also, people would be ready. Now, there are studies which says that any commutation one way, if it is more than 1 hour, they would be willing to spend more in the rental prospects. They would be willing to spend more on the rent rather than traveling long. right? For example, you go to Bombay. Bombay में क्या है? If you have to travel to this position, it will take extreme time and the cost of transportation is very high, right? But same is the case of Delhi? No. Delhi mein, if you have to travel from one part of the city to the other part of the city, there is metro connectivity. Even from this place to this place, there is a connectivity of metro, and because of this metro, it is cheap, right? That's why people would be willing to live far away from their office workspace. इसीलिए rents कम होता है वहाँ पर. There's not much of demand as compared to the Bombay. Bombay का issue क्या है? There is no connectivity, firstly. Connectivity like metro is not there. And the city is developed into small islands, areas जैसा develop हुआ. So, settlement pattern is also based on the transportation patterns as well. So, mostly Bombay में settlements कैसा होगा? Linear settlements, that is urban linear settlements you will get to see, except few areas जहाँ पर high development है, right? So, infrastructure plays a vital role in the process of settlement. So let us quickly revise last class what we have learned. We have learned that different types of settlements. If there is a river, what kind of settlement do you see? Linear pattern of settlements. And if there is alluvial soils, settlements will be widely set up or widely dispersed, but concentrated settlements in the mountains. Valleys have very densely populated settlements as compared to the hilltops, but that's an exceptional that we got to learn. The settlements that you see in the hilly areas of the Jammu and Kashmir and Uttarakhand, they are not the same like the ones which you see in the northeastern region. Why? Security comes into picture. You go to Nagaland. How do you find the settlements? The Nagaland settlements are something different. They are like this. Suppose if this is a mountain area in Uttarakhand or in Himachal Pradesh, the settlement patterns will be a bit different from the settlement patterns of hill stations or hill areas in Nagaland. Okay? Imagine these are your hills in the Nagaland area. So mostly the settlements are broadly based on the valleys. Valley based settlements ज़्यादा होता है. क्यों? क्योंकि availability of water is always there here. But when you go to the settlement patterns into the Nagaland, here more than resources, it is security which plays a vital role. Nagaland, historically अगर देखा गया, this is the city or this is the place where much of the settlements are based upon their security. Headhunting was something common in Nagaland, not now, but before few decades. So it is generally understood that अगर कोई tribe है, in the tribe to be proven as a great person into that tribe, what do? They has to go and hunt the other tribe. So that's why they never would like to settle into the valleys. They would always want to settle in the hilly areas. ठीक है? यहाँ पर they want to settle on the tops. Why they want to settle on the tops? It is very difficult to access the top areas and difficult to hunt them, right? So warfare was something which was common, and a set of 16 tribes which are there, they always wanted to settle in the high areas. Even within the hill areas, most of the settlement, it is because of the availability of the resources. Here you got to understand that this is because of security, right? So वैसे hill settlements also, you look into Shimla. Shimla is a densely populated city, right? Tourism. You go to the other city, Manali. Manali's population is 30,000. Shimla's population is 1,50,000. What is the major difference? एक administrative town है. Both are tourism towns. When administration comes into picture, it will be costly. It will be more densely populated. So multiple factors we have discussed in the last class, and we were discussing about population as well, right? So let's quickly jump into today's theory, that is, we were discussing about the demographic transition theory, that is DTT. Now, can you tell me what is demography? How do you define demography? See, demography is something when you start to study about the population. It is generally said that India's strength lies in 3 Ds. India's strength always lies in these 3 Ds. Can anyone tell me what are these 3 Ds? One is democracy. ठीक है? Second one, diversity. Third one, demography. Right? See, your democracy is your strength. your diversity is your identity and your demography is your asset. अगर आप इस asset को, if you are not using it properly, it will turn into a demographic disaster. Right? If you have good population in your country and you're not able to utilize that population, then it is very, very clear that it is this asset will convert into a disaster. Now, India is today the world's largest populated country. The largest population in the world, you look around, it is in India. Now, you got to know what are the major reasons why are we much populated. क्योंकि ये tropical country है, resources available है, sunlight 365 days है, and it is a subcontinent, it has every type of landform, cultures are there, it is one of the oldest civilization, rivers are there, it gives you survival, crop cultivation is there, because of which large number of people would like to live in that area. There is diversity, there is identity, there is multi-cross-sectional poly. You look into cosmopolitan aspects India में है, right? इसीलिए ये densely populated country है. Major reasons, it is because of its geography. ठीक है, primarily we as geography optional students should look from the geographical angle. ठीक है, such a kind of geography you will not find anywhere else. That's why India was also called as subcontinent. ठीक है, इस subcontinent में इतना ज़्यादा population को how did or how are we able to utilize this population for the well-being of the nation, right? So on an average today we are 130 crore population, and recently we have even bet China also. Every year on an average we produce a new Australia. ठीक है, so that is the new rate of population. It's not just India, it alone Uttar Pradesh is producing a new Australia, right? And there are some dynamic aspects which you have to look into this. So of all of this, there is a basic theory आपको जानना चाहिए, that is demographic transition theory. Now in this demographic transition theory, it talks about two things. Primarily, it has taken into account what is the death rate, what is the birth rate, right? This demographic transition theory takes into account death rate भी है, birth rate, and it takes into some other account some other parameters. So firstly, let me give a glimpse or overview of this demographic transition theory. Now this demographic transition theory says that how come or how will a particular society, DTT says that is demographic transition theory, how come a rural plus illiterate plus high birth rate plus high death rate society, how is it being able to transfer itself to a place or to a stage where how come it turns into urban plus literate plus low death rate and low birth rate. Now what are the aspects that need to be taken into account is something which the demographic transition theory talks about. It says that initially, no matter whatever is the stages of the population, every country should has to go through from this stage through this stage. The ultimate agenda of a particular nation, it says that it is to move from a rural, illiterate, plus high death rate and high birth rate society to a society where urban भी है, literate भी है, low death rate and low birth rate. So in this due process, if a society wants to convert from here to here, it says that it has to go through certain stages, right? Now what are these stages? That is nothing but your demographic transition is happening. In this transition, the parameters that we have to know, right? So India may be demographic transition हम पढ़ सकते हैं. We can read the demographic transition in India since the 1920s से लेकर अब तक, right? Similarly, you can also look into the demographic transition of the world as well. How the major countries of the world today, you look into US. Is US in this state? US is having an urbanized societies. It does not mean that सारे country urban है. Rural होगा, but लेकिन majorly, dominantly, they are literate and overall country you take, they have low death rate and low birth rate. How did the United Nations moved from this stage to this stage? ऐसा क्या हुआ that has changed the country's face? Yes? Development, ठीक है. Now what is development? Here Rohit says sir development हुआ, but लेकिन development कैसे हुआ? क्या है development? Education, job opportunities, else? Next? Health, no doubt health. Yes. So let us try to understand this theory. Now we'll consider this theory in two different aspects. One in the case of India, where exactly we stand today. And second, we'll also look into the state of the world, where exactly we are in the state of as compared to other nations. Look here. Every country, initially it says that it has high death rate and high birth rate. The black color component or the black color graph which you are showing, it is high death rate. And the other graph, it is high birth rate. जब birth rate भी high है, death rate भी high है, population क्या होगा? ये मान के चलो 100 people are being born every year and 100 people are dead every year. What is the population? It is always the same. देखो ये जो population है, it will always be same. There is no growth. Now why is that large number of people are giving birth every year and they are losing every year? Because उस conditions में maybe they might be not educated, diseases ज़्यादा हो सकता है, and the survival rate of a child is not too high, and the old people who are there, they might die quickly. The reasons are primarily one, birth rate जो है, it is very high because people are not aware. They think that the major asset of the population, if you have more population, they are your asset. You look into the case of India. India में क्या था? You go to 1920s. Let us see the case of India. You go to 1920s. 1920s में you will understand that the total population of India was hardly 20 crore, 30 crore. You go and ask your great grandfather or the great grandmother how many brothers and sisters they were. They will tell you, they'll always show around 5 to 6 or near about 10 on an average अगर बताएगा. क्यों? क्योंकि 15. Rohit says 15. So it is a general case in India. The great grandfathers or great grandmothers, their brothers and sisters, they were always big in number. It was a giant family. Why? It is because it is generally understood that if the number of people or the population in one particular family, if it is high, they thought that always that population is an asset for them. ठीक है? Because usually the mindset is that the chances of survival after the child is given a birth within 1 year, it is very low. Now that is called as IMR, infant mortality rate. On the other hand, the chances of a mother not surviving is also very high. That is called as maternal mortality rate, right, at the time of the live birth. So IMR rates and MMR rates are very high even during the India state also. 1901 से लेकर 1920 तक you can consider the state, that state जहाँ पर high birth rate था, high death rate था. And this was also the time period for India, if you look into the freedom movement was going on. ठीक है? India has seen a war kind of situation. And across the world you see, what is the scenario of the world? The world was going for a World War I, 1914 to 1918. उस टाइम पे ना कोई पेनिसिलिन था, ना कोई मेडिसिन था. World has also seen a Spanish flu, 1918, right? Let us try to understand one from the world perspective, other from the India's perspective. So ये 1901 से लेकर 1920 में क्या-क्या देखा हमने? We have seen a Spanish flu in India, Indian freedom movement across the world. World War was going on. Most of the people lost their families. They have lost their bread-earning members. There was large-scale destructions that you got to see, and if a person, even for a mosquito bite, you would see the death. आज भी अफ्रीका में जाओ यही condition है. Even for the birth, even for the mosquito bites, people die there. Right? Such was the condition. And today, if you look into, most of the African nations are still in this state. In which state are they? They are in the stages of one, high birth rate होता है, high death rate. Now here, increase in the population is more or less the same. natural increase nahi hota. Now, many children in this family, they need more members for farming, that's why they produce more. That's the major reason. इसलिए population, birth rate and death rate will both be same because survival chances are very less. Right? Now today, most of the African nations and India was in this state during the time of 1901 to 1920. Right? Even to an extent, some small minor pockets of India, you see, they are also in the same area. Right? But when we collectively take India as a whole, today we are not in this particular state. Currently, we are somewhere in the late expanding and low stationary phase. We are somewhere here, third phase or fourth phase ke beech mein. Now we'll come and try to understand what exactly is this. Right? Now this kind of phase is called as high stationary phase. High stationary phase में कौन सा nation है? African nations है. India 1901 से लेकर 1920 तक. Conditions क्या था? Spanish flu was there, World War was there, literacy was less, education rate, and also the IMR, MMR rates were there. You just need to find some examples on the databases and then write it. Come to the next stage. See, in the next stage, it is called as early expanding stage. Now in this early expanding stage, what are the changes that you get to see? See, here you see there is a rapid increase in the population. For example, why is this rapid increase in the population? Because medical facilities a country can develop, a country can go for innovation. Right? Now, from 1920s to 1940s, most of the nations across the globe, you see, they fall into this category. Right? You look into the today's conditions, आज की ज़माने में Egypt, Kenya and India, today it is not in this stage. India falls somewhere here. This is where India is in. Okay, somewhere here. But India is currently not in this stage. As Egypt and Kenya both are in these stages. Now here, there is rapid rise in the population. Why does the rapid rise increases? Or why is there a rapid rise in the population? क्यों? High birth rate होगा, low death rate होगा, but लेकिन ये death rate जो है low क्यों हो गया? Health facilities. Can you give an example taking into the world considerations in the early 20th century? Online, if you can, please comment into the comment section. Can you give any kind of example? When was the first antibiotic came up into the market? For example, let's take the world scenario. 1900 से लेकर 1920 के बीच में we have taken few parameters, right? Now let's consider 1920 to 1940. What you got to see is that mostly the mentality of the people was still in the same scenario, that more population means more income to their family. But still, on the other side, you got to see the health facilities started to rise up. You look into the 1914 to 18 World War. World War, what did it get in? It has got penicillin. It has got antibiotics. New innovation of medicines. Medical facilities started to increase because of the World War, and also materials. After every crisis, you will get to see large scale innovations. So ऐसे 1928 में first penicillin innovate हुआ, and similarly other medicines came up, and that was the time period when medical facilities took that leapfrog jump. ठीक है? So you look here, one, death rate rapidly falling because of medical facilities increased. On the other side, developmental agendas such as health, infrastructure, धीरे धीरे start हुआ. Now you see birth rate अभी भी high है. इसीलिए people of population, that is new births, are still high, and then people who are losing their life, they are low. Because of this, the population rose. Now this stage is called as early expanding stage. Now come to the next stage. Currently Brazil is in this stage, and here you will understand that the population is going to increase. One, the rise of the population is still going to be there, but at the same time you will see the death rate to be low and the birth rate will also be low. In this particular stage, you will understand that education comes into the picture. पहले क्या हुआ था? healthcare came into the picture, right? Now if education comes into the picture, you will understand that people will slowly start to produce less, right? Total population will reduce. Especially in this particular state, one, the empowerment of women is also taken into consideration, and women is given equal opportunities, more or less, if not 100% equality. Equality is a fight which they have. Women tend to prefer to work, and men tend to give that or give major roles to other genders. The equal level playing platform mil jata hai, more or less. So in such a scenario, you'll get to see the rise of population. At the same time, the birth rate will be falling down. Now currently Brazil is in this stage and India is also in this stage. In which year are we going to stabilize our population? In which year are we going to stabilize our population? 2030 is the estimated year. Yes, we are going to stabilize our population. Until 2030, what are we going to do? We are going to increase our population. See, India is also going to increase its population by the year 2030. That is late expanding phase. We are going to stabilize our population, right? Now, you have to understand the causes and consequences and the implications of these kind of activities. That we'll discuss after 5 minutes. Okay? First, try to understand the stages. After that, we'll move ahead. Now, come to the next stage. Next stage is called as low stationary phase. इस low stationary phase में क्या होगा ना? Birth rate भी down होगा, death rate भी down है. Both are having very, very less death rate and birth rate. In the first case, what did you see? 100 people are giving birth and 100 people are losing their life. Because of that, their population is. Now see here, in this particular phase, 10 people are giving the birth and 10 people lose their life. What happens? The population remains the same. Here also, more or less, the population is same. In this phase also, more or less, the population is same. But again, difference kya hai? What is the fundamental difference that you got to see? Here the population was low and here the population is high. And don't you see the exact reverse of stage 1 and stage 4 if you compare? Don't you see the reverse? Exactly. That is nothing but your demographic transition theory. How is the stage 1 has moved into the stage 4? Now this is called as, you look high stationary phase to low stationary. That means your demographic transition theory talks about how come a high stationary phase is transforming itself to low stationary phase. In दोनों के बीच में, broadly if you look into, education came into picture, that is health sector. Next, women status, and then infrastructure, that is social aspects or social problems solving capability you got. These are some things you got to see, right? So, is this society simply transferred from this stage to this stage? No. यहाँ पे social, economic, political changes भी देखने के लिए मिलता है, right? So it's a socio-economic and political theory which is linked with population aspects, right? Now that is your demographic transition, right? Demographic transition में key major roles जो है, society, education, health, women, infrastructure, these all aspects are involved. Now come back. So in the low stationary phase today, UK, France, Europe, jitne bhi developed countries hai, they are falling into this category, right? Now, last stage, in some books you will see this last stage, in some books you will not find this last stage. Now this is the stage where the population will be declining. ठीक है? Yes, Germany and Japan are falling into this category. I'll tell you what exactly is this. In this phase, what happens is that birth rate is so low. Imagine 10 people are given new birth and at the same time death, 11 people are dying. What happens? Population will decrease, right? If 10 people are given birth every year and 11 to 12 people are dying every year, that means overall population will reduce. Now this is the case of Germany, this is the case of Japan. Now in May, for example, let's try to bring in economics into this. In optional we have to study like this. Economic angle. Economic angle ye dekho, let's try to consider India, right? Now you look into the status of India. What are the changes that you got to see in the state of India? 1901 से लेकर 1920 तक India was struggling for freedom. It even took part in the World War. Literacy rate was not high, and we are juggling and struggling in those phases. Like that, India has its own stages. Now that India stage we'll study in the next class, right? But you have to understand the socio-economic aspects of this. Today you see, on an average, what is the average age of Indian population? 35. ठीक है, 45 नहीं, कम नहीं हुआ, 29 होता है, ठीक है, 29 to 35 के बीच में है average age of India. That is, we are the youth population जो है ना, the youth population of the world, sorry, the youth population of India is very high. It's like this. If you consider India, imagine major population chunk, if this is 0 to 10 population, ठीक है, now let's consider 10 to 20, 20 to 40. Our large chunk of population is falling into this category. ठीक है, after this you have little less population here. Old age population is little less, right? That means सबसे ज़्यादा population जो है ना India में, they are in the young stages, right? Now you see where exactly India falls today. We are still increasing our population. Is our birth rate increasing? Yes, birth rate ज़्यादा है, but लेकिन National Family Health Survey report recently it said that 2.0 is the current birth rate which we have. ठीक है? That means every woman is now bearing around 1.9 to 2.0, 2 children on an average. That is called total fertility rate. Earlier it used to be 2.2. ठीक है? 2.2. So today what we are doing is that our total fertility rate जो है ना, each individual woman, their potential has come down, or else we are taking in lot of measures in terms of controlling the population or giving in good education to women also, you can say. Come back, let's try to consider, this is today's India, ठीक है? India after 20 years. What will be the situation? जो 20 to 40 की एज ग्रुप में है, if you add 20 years to them, 20 सालों के बाद, around 20-25 years के बाद, इनका एज क्या होगा? Their age will be around 60, ठीक है? Around 60 मान के चलते. So at that point of time, don't you see this kind of population where your old age population will be more? That means old age population base will be more and the young population might be little less. It's like this. ठीक है? That means more old age and less earning population. तो रोहित का कहना है सर जैसे जापान की तरह, right? Japan, no doubt. The people who are in the working age population, their Japanese population is less. Not just Japan, Europe also, Germany also. Can we compare India with Japan and Germany? We cannot compare. Why? I'll tell you. See, 20 साल के बाद, India in the year 2050, this will be the situation where major chunk of the population is old age. Imagine every house, if they are having 4 old people and 1 earning person. Old age is a problem. ठीक है? Old age को ना एक asset की तरह देखना चाहिए हम. Old age, उनके पास काफी ज़्यादा knowledge होता है, but they are not in a position to do the work. They need help. Hospitality. On an average, imagine that you are earning 100 rupees, ये मान के चले, that this earning population में you have 100 rupees, right? And out of this 100, if you are going to spend 40 odd rupees on the health of the individual, what are you left with? 40-50 rupees per month. You'll be left with none, right? To overcome these kind of problems, what should India do? What should India do? If today India is running a program called Make in India, right? One, imagine that after 20 to 30 odd years, more old people and less working class people. That means you earn 100 rupees, you spend more. That means all your earnings are going into healthcare industry. तो old age को तो वैसे भी insurance नहीं होता. Government, what does it do? Have you ever heard of the old age pension scheme? Right? Look at this scenario. Just try to understand. ठीक है? Concepts and the content and all will learn little later, but concept समझ लो. Imagine this person is earning 100 rupees. Out of this 100 rupees, he will be paying 10% as tax, right? That means this 10 rupees is gone to government, right? So government, like that, every individual who is giving 10, it gets some fund, right? This is future. Now what about the current scenario? More people are working in the age group, so today the government can earn more. That's why the government is able to give old age pension to people who are older now. After 20-30 years, the government will not be in a position to collect the same number of taxes that it is collecting today from the salary. What happens? Can the government give that free pension to the old age population? It cannot. At the same rate which we are growing as a population, it cannot give. Right? One, burden on the government. To overcome this problem, what should be done? Innovative ideas. चलो हम जर्मनी और जापान के बारे में बात करते हैं. You go to Germany and you go to see the Japan or Europe. There is old age pension. If you are aged 60, your welfare is taken by the government. ठीक है? Today, those individuals who are there, they are flat 40% tax, no doubt. If you are earning 100, 40 will be the tax percentage for them. That means high taxation will be there when you have old age population more, right? But we cannot compare ourselves with Japan or Germany, क्योंकि industries देखो, how many industries does Germany own? How many industries does Japan own? Japan owns large scale innovation. Germany owns large scale innovative industries. Skoda, Volkswagen, you name a big company that is owned by Germany, auto industries. Even less people who are working in that population group, but they are able to earn more money, more revenue they are able to get, right? Today, India is very well known for service sector. Japan and Germany, they are known for industries and service sector, right? So, tomorrow's situation will be if we do not own the industries. ये मान के चलो आज भी हम सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स है, फ्यूचर में भी अगर सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स ही रह गए ना, we won't be in a position to maintain that large scale old age population which we are going to foresee, right? More old people. So एक तरफ से गवर्नमेंट को कम टैक्सेस मिल रहा है and these taxes are not sufficient for the old age people pension. On the other side, this person is also now spending more on the health of the old age people, instead spending on some savings or spending on to some development aspects. Now it's a double whammy, or else double. You see, single income, one, government ko tax, at the same time old age spendings. Out of pocket expenditure जो बढ़ेगा, ठीक है? इस आउट ऑफ पॉकेट एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ने के कारण गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर प्रेशर, सोसाइटीज के ऊपर प्रेशर, एंड देयर इज एन इमोशनल ट्रॉमा दैट इज एसोसिएटेड विद इल हेल्थ, दैट इज सोशल कॉज, दैट आल्सो नीड टू बी टेकन इनटू अकाउंट, राइट? सो एक सोशल एस्पेक्ट से एक इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट्स, एंड ये जो डेमोग्राफिक एसेट विच वी हैव टुडे, इफ वी डू नॉट मैनेज वेल, दिस विल बी अ डेमोग्राफिक डिजास्टर दैट विल हैपन. टू हैंडल दिस, टू टैकल दिस, व्हाट शुड बी डन? One, make in India. You have to go for make in India. That means India should own more industries. That is why India ये कहता है, आओ invest in India. Innovation index बढ़ाना है हमें, right? You have innovation index. That's why Startup India, Make in India, Innovation Index, And also insurance, you have to grow with the insurance. These things are not just very sufficient. On the other side, we have to stabilize our population, and this is what the government of India is planning for, where stabilization of the population by 2030. If we do not stabilize and if we are still in the same growth rate, we'll definitely see a rate of disaster that is going to happen in the year 2050. No doubt our GDP will grow. No doubt our income will rise. But that income comes from the service sector. Until and unless we are getting that income from service sector, it is always a threat to the nation. Who says it? Niti Aayog report says that. Okay? India Innovation Index report says that. Right? India Innovation Index report, it says that this is the foreseen threat. That means we are seeing these kind of threats. Now quote that report while writing these answers. And demographic transition theory, it's just about 4 different stages: high stationary, early expanding, late expanding, low stationary. 4 phases hai. India kahan par hai? India is currently in this stage, right? So demographic asset and demographic disaster, you need to be aware, right? Apart from this, you also need to be aware about the stages of India. India, if you look into, within India also, if you look into, there are 4 stages of demographic transitions stages onto India. Now let's try to understand the demographic transition stages of India through the population aspect, right? Now let us try to consider the phase 1. Phase 1 is nothing but 1901 से 1921. This is called as phase 1. वहां पे phase 1 का नाम क्या था? High stationary. So this is also called as high stationary phase, right? Do you agree? Now look at the data. What is the population? Is there an increase? Is there an increase in the population? Right? Do you have an increase? Take a minute time. 238 million, that means 23.8 crore population. Then you have 252, मतलब 20 लाख का population बढ़ गया. Then you have 251. ऐसा क्या हुआ जो 1911 से लेकर 1921 के बीच में जो population, in fact, instead of increasing, there was a decrease. World War was there, flu was there, Spanish flu was there. ठीक है? Plague सुना है? ठीक है? Large scale diseases were there in this, especially 1918 से लेकर 1920 के बीच में ना, the Spanish flu, it killed every 6th person in every nation. Not just in India, across the globe there was population decline. ठीक है? Every 6th person में 1 person lost their life. Even the great Gandhi ji had to face with this Spanish flu. He was isolated for 3 to 4 months alone for the Spanish flu. Right? So high birth rate and high birth rate plus high death rate. Got it? This is your high stationary phase. Now look into the phase 2, 1921 to 51. What do you get to see? What was the population that is there? How much increase in the population? कितना increase है population में? 25 crore की around 25 crore from here to here. Right? 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 Sorry, it's not 25 crore. Yes, it is. Yes. And see, the basic necessities, especially in the case of 1928 में पहली बार the medicine started to be distributed across the globe. Right? India is also a beneficiary. India के पास age-old traditional medicines था, but age-old traditional medicines production into the industrial scale, it came in. And this is also the time period when we have got to see the rise in the number of industries, that to local industries, right? Because of that, income started to increase. Clear? And this phase is called as, what was this phase? भूल गया. चलो. We'll come back. I'll tell you the stage. See here. Early expanding. In the early expanding stages, you get to see 21 से लेकर 51 तक, it is early expanding. Death rate is high and birth rate is also high. Still, comparatively, the death rate and birth rate, both of them are high, but the basic necessities that are required to for an individual, here you got to see some better facilities, right? Look at this third stage, 1951 से लेकर around, you can go it for 51 to 71. Look at the scale of population. In how many years did our population started to double? यहाँ पे population क्या था? 318, 361. When did we double our population? Every 361 से लेकर near about 30 years में we have doubled, right? Now look from here, every few decades we started to double our population. Look, this was 439 population. When did we double this population? Which year? Near double, ठीक है? If not at a stretch, near doubling, when did we do? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. 30 years में population क्या हुआ? 2 times हो गया. Also look here, this is 361, 683. 30 years, 10, 20, 30, again we doubled here. Now look, let's take this and this. 1971 से लेकर 2000 work. What did happen? What did you got to see? Double. That means every 30 years, what did we do? We started to double our population. Now this stage of time is nothing but your late expanding phase or early expanding phase. See, early expanding phase mein, this is the stage where we started to double. That is 1951 से लेकर 81 के बीच में, right? And we are still in this stage itself. Still, अभी भी doubling हो रहा है हमारा, right? That is why we produce Australia on an average, right? So you come and see here again, come back. So 81, after 81 से लेकर 2011 तक, and the current phase, stage 4, that is high growth with deficit signs of slowing down. यहाँ पे high growth is there. Signs of slowing down. That means here, slowing down the growth rate. Slowing down growth rate means here you need to understand, you look into the growth rates 21, 24, 27, around 23, 24, 25 तक growth rate है, but लेकिन अभी कहाँ तक पहुँच गया? 17. ये numbers आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. This is only for your understanding. In the main classroom, we'll learn in detail stage by stage. हर एक stage को we will classify and we'll learn in a very detailed manner. This is only for your understanding. ठीक है? ताकि when I say demographic transition, you should not be confused. ये क्या है? Right? So come back. You will understand that this is one area जहाँ पर our growth rate, again, it is now deficit. This is an indication that India is currently moving to this stage. We are somewhere here. ठीक है? जहाँ पे by 2030 we will be stabilizing ourselves. That means we should be reaching somewhere here, right? Once we reach there, at the same time we should also fight with two components. One is IMR, other one is MMR, infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. At the same time, India's innovation index, make in India. Service sector se we have to move towards industrial sector. At the same time, create more opportunities, more employment opportunities. How can all these things happen? It is through the process of inclusive growth चाहिए, जहाँ पर every section of the society, every person who is part of the society needs to be part of that growth. You take into economic sector, insurances increase karo. To buy that insurances, again, the insurance sector is something which is going to boom up. It is because of we are going to get into the age-old population. Major chunk will be there in the old age. So that the paying capacity of an individual should be increased. How can that be increased? Industries, not service sectors. Service is always a chorus. Okay? If India's, the imagination of the world, if someone says that you are from India, they will be imagining as if that there's a suit boot guy with a tie and thinking that he's a well-educated person who's looking out for job. That is a good sign, no doubt, right? If you ask, or the global perception of the India is that you say that you are from India, they'll be thinking that ye suit boot pankar, he's looking out for a job. That is the perception. But what about the same perception when you say a person is from Africa? Do you have similar kind of perception? That perception is very important. That is social angle, right? That is cognitive angle. Even to that cognitive aspects, we have to say that our innovation index can change that perception. So, inclusive growth, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, वुमेन को एजुकेशन इंक्रीज करो, right? You can recall any number of government schemes and put them into these areas, right? So if I give you a question, India's demographic asset, if not managed well, can lead to the pathways of demographic disasters. Comment. ठीक है? उस क्वेश्चन में ना, it is never asked demographic transition theory के बारे में बताओ. You need to take these kind of aspects into account and write by using the demographic transition theory examples, right? And in geography optional, questions are very direct. They ask what is demographic transition theory in the current context of the India's rate of growth. Comment down. 15 marks, 20 marks, direct question. आज तक जो भी DTP के ऊपर क्वेश्चन है वो सब डायरेक्ट ही आया. यहाँ पे आपको कुछ examples you need to remember and the diagram which is there, which will be drawing in the classroom, then it will be done and dusted. So introductions can be like this. India at the time of independence started with a promising growth, but in the initial decades, India has to go for a war, or else India has seen 2 big wars. With crises such as Green Revolution, or with crisis such as war crisis, India has even failed to maintain its food security, but a phenomenal growth in the last 2 decades with industrialization and LPG reforms, India has paved its pathway for the low birth rate and low death rate, from a stage where high death rate and high birth rate. ठीक है? Schemes or promising government schemes such as Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana, Make in India, or else Beti Bachao, or else you can inclusive growth schemes, social welfare schemes. India can manage its asset, not to convert itself into a disaster. Maybe these kind of keywords. Keywords क्या है यहाँ पर? 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the keywords of this. Rural, illiterate, high birth rate, high death rate. 200 words तो लिख सकते हो ना? इसके लिए PhD करने की जरूरत नहीं है इस टॉपिक के ऊपर. Very simple, right? And whenever we get National Family Health Survey reports, National Family Health Survey reports are these reports. ठीक है? NFHS report. कुछ क्वेश्चंस ऐसे भी बन सकते हैं, रिपोर्ट्स के ऊपर आएगा. उस रिपोर्ट्स में क्या है? Questions can be asked like this. Look here, this is India, right? India में these are the areas that are red in color, जहाँ पे total fertility rate है ना, which is high. Total fertility rate means in that particular area, every woman has the capability, or currently on an average, the woman is producing 3.4 children in the Bihar, and Assam 2.3, and Haryana 2.2, West Bengal only 1.6. It's like that. Average अगर निकाल दिया गया. So on an average, each family or each couple are producing around 3.4 people in Bihar. That is why the population is high there. Now this also indicates that the total fertility rate से ज़्यादा है इनका population. Not just these, you look into these areas, why is it only present in this part of the country? Don't you see a new India in the southern states? Right? Look at these states: Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Kerala. The fertility rate is less than 2.0. Right? Why is the southern part of India seeing less total fertility rate as compared to the northern part of India? Very good. You see, you look into the literacy rate. What are the regions? What are the reasons? Look out for reasons. Reasons are literacy rate high है. Sex ratio क्या है? High. Do you know which state in India has highest per capita income? Haryana, Punjab, these states have good rate of per capita income. Now let me show you the sex ratios here. See, sex ratios mein, you'll be surprised to see that Kerala is having how much sex ratio? For 1000 male persons, it is having 1121 males. Sorry, 1121 females. Tamil Nadu, 1000 male are there, 1088 female are there. Telangana, 1049. Now look at these areas and look at the state of Punjab. Why is it 938? 1000 males के लिए 938 women. क्यों? Female feticide, Haryana is very famously known for that. Kaap panchayats and all. If Haryana ho to don't get offended, but I don't say this, these reports say that. So at the same time, come back. Punjab is one of the richest states, right? It is one of the richest states. If Haryana is also one of the richest states, per capita income agar dekha gaya, Gurgaon and all, they have great per capita income. Rich does not mean you are developed. ठीक है? Development को, you take health conditions, you take education conditions, and other social aspects, IMR, MMR into account, and sex ratio also into account. You see, the status of women will also decide what kind of a society it is, right? Like that, questions can come from these kind of areas. You see a new India in formation with respect to development. Why the central part of India or the northern part of India is dominantly having high population fertility growth as compared to the southern states? Reasons: education अच्छा है, women का literacy rate अच्छा है, at the same time they have female fertility rate is low, and they have good sex ratio, industries, economic development, healthcare. So investment on these aspects is good. You can Goa, these are the NFHS survey is not taken into account here. This is National Family Health Survey 5. देखो दो टाइप के सर्वेस होता है. One is census which is given every 10 years. Census अभी next year आने वाला है, or else this year itself, at the end of this year you are going to see very soon. So all that census we are going to get new data, and our questions will be in that census. If not, population chapter is based on that census. क्योंकि 10 साल हो चुके हैं, पॉपुलेशन में काफ़ी कुछ चेंजेस देखने के लिए मिला. तो हर 5 साल में नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे रिपोर्ट एक मिलता है. What do they do is they take 10 lakh people population sample, and from the 10 lakh they decide the data in each particular state. मतलब each particular area they only take 10 lakh to 20 lakh into account. And overall census अगर देखा गया, every individual is taken into account. That is the difference. So in the NFHS they did not take these states into account. Right? So data, तो ये NFHS 5 के data है. We'll also be looking into very detailed in these data. By using this data, you can also use it in paper 3, paper 2, paper 1 in sociology also, even in ethics. If you get, you can write. So SS में भी use किया जा सकता है. All the 4 areas you can utilize them. Right? Paper 1 में कहाँ use कर सकते हो? These kind of aspects. Social issues में. Paper 2, while writing answers. ठीक है? Paper 3, no, economy and all you can use if there is a question is asked in this angle, because we will also study agriculture in the topics. We'll also study some environment. Ethics is paper 4. Yes, in the paper 4 also some case studies and all you can utilize. This is how we have to use this data. Very practical hai, ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं in the population chapter. It's just about 2 more theories that are there. And next, we should also study about few industries as well. This industries, what do? We'll study in the next class. We are left with one more theory of population. Malthus theory we'll see, and some settlements we'll see there. These are very basics. ठीक है, NCERT में इतना ही दिया हुआ. You have to add more content from current affairs. That we'll be doing from the first week or second week of April, जहाँ पर regular classes होने वाला है. And once you have this understanding, no, it is very, very easy for you to maneuver through the main classrooms, right? So we'll end here. कोई doubt हो तो, as usual, you can always ask me. This is my contact number, and there is a form that is given in the online. You can register in the description where you can get in touch with me, and this is my contact number. And my name is Madhusudan Reddy. Our geography classes are going to start from the month of April, second week. So please make sure to register if you are interested. Yes, see you guys.